Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Aldine School Gymnasium. This meeting held in the Aldine School Gymnasium is an open session of the Roselle Park Board of Education held under the Open Public Meetings Act of the State of New Jersey. Notice of this meeting was sent to the Star Ledger, Union Leader, and Home News Tribune, also the Borough Clerk, school offices, and district website. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
President Miller.
Here.
Vice President Harms.
Here.
Mr. Balaban.
Here.
Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mr. Bruckenstein. Mr. Dam.
Here.
Mr. Gerton.
Here.
Mr. Nelson.
Here.
Mr. Vida.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out on this chilly night and getting into Aldine School. I'm really excited for a student showcase. I can't wait for that. And also, I just wanted to say, before this meeting, we were in another meeting called, it's called closed session. That's where we all got together and talk about a few things. And the first thing we talked about was, I wanted to add to the list on this, that we had the discussion. Not only do we do matters of attorney-client privilege, number 2 is personal matters, but also we did discuss a third issue, and that dealt with security. So that's what we talked about. And now I'd like to open up the public participation portion of the evening. And what that is you can come and talk about anything you'd like to concerning an agenda item. And the agenda item is what this is, where we have a lot of different topics. So if there's something you want to talk about, please come up and state your name, your address, and what agenda item you would like to discuss.
Jacob Madero, 612 Sheridan Avenue, Roselle Park. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience and children, viewing audience, members of the board, Mr. Garrido, Mr. Miller, good evening.
Good evening.
Item 2, district policy first reading. Please explain to approve the following cafeteria student accounting.
The board is proposing a new policy with regard to the cafeteria student accounting, which covers the situation if a child does not have money with them on a given day for school lunch, nor do they send money in advance. It does state that the student will be given a full federal lunch consisting of all the components, and they could do so, but they're setting a maximum that after a child's account has accumulated a negative $25, that thank you for correcting, $20, that instead of getting the full federal lunch of the day, they will instead from that point on be given a full federal lunch consisting of a cheese sandwich, a vegetable, and a fruit and milk. And those students who suffer from allergies to dairy or gluten will be given a comparable non-allergen version of that cheese sandwich and their milk. But they will have to eventually pay for those lunches.
Is that part of the update for the lunch program that was discussed at the last board meeting?
No, this is a new policy that sets specific guidelines for a maximum charge limit per student.
Item number 4, staff retirement. Mrs. Christensen is retired.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Item 11, educational trip request. Explain. Item A, Washington, D.C. Students get to perform at the Lincoln Memorial. Can someone explain what did they perform and who was performing?
High school band.
High school band.
High school band.
That was who?
High school band.
The high school band, it states that in the agenda, Mr. Majira says it at the right.
It says HS band.
That stands for
I
high
didn't
school.
want to take it for granted that it's a high school band.
Yes.
And Mr. Dan, would you,
I was just joking.
oh, okay. Can you explain that?
No, not at this point, because I'm not on that, I'm not a member of the board of the marching band anymore. But there could be a possibility that they're still working on it, and I don't want to make a comment. I'm not sure.
You're still involved with the high school band?
Oh, my daughter is still on it, but I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
So, I would not like to talk on it, because I don't have an answer to this.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you.
folks. Thank you.
Seeing there is no one else, we're going to close the first public participation portion of the evening for agenda items only, and we're going to go to committee reports. Would anyone like to comment on their committee? Mr. Vita?
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. This past weekend, I got to attend the New Jersey School Board Association conference for technology that was held down in Princeton. I went with Mr. Brito and with Mr. Mike Estrada, our IT director. And just a quick summary of a couple of things that were there. There were a lot of initiatives that the various vendors brought to the table to talk about different ways to integrate technology into the schools, different low-cost and free options, which is the ones that I pursued most fervently while I was down there. But I will be doing a more comprehensive report of the things that I was able to be a part of, and I'll be submitting that to Mr. Vito along with his report and Mike Estrada's, and hopefully we'll be able to do a couple of those more extensive committee meetings with the curriculum committee and some others to see if we can implement some of these programs into the school system. That's it. Thank you. Mr. Dan,
Mr. Miller?
Mr. Dan?
I'd like to talk about the finance committee that met last night. We held our second meeting. Can anybody hear me? Okay. All right. Where we received an update on the budget process from Mrs. Garcio. It was not until today that Governor Christie was supposed to give his budget address, which he did, but unfortunately, the most critical part did not come through, which is state aid to the schools, which at this point is supposed to be later this week. Therefore, the committee plans on reconvening on March 3rd to continue its work since preliminary budget documents are not due to the accounting office until March 20th. The committee is recommending that we reschedule our March 10th board meeting to March 17th, so we have more sufficient time to cover our difficult but important work before adopting the tentative budget. So, Mr. Mayor, we would ask the board to consider this request tonight and, to announce it. The thing is that, unfortunately, we are getting pushed very tightly with stuff we should already know, but unfortunately, the county is not changing the date at this point. So we're going to hope down the line that they do, or we're going to work our hardest to get everything done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dam. And yes, we will be discussing, due to the uncertainty of the budget address and the budget numbers coming out, first and foremost, we want to make sure that the public and citizens of Roselle Park are kept updated on the information and the progress. And how we're going to do that is, Mr. Dam being the chair, we're also going to have some budget workshops as well. Once the numbers are finalized, and hopefully they'll be positive for us, once those numbers are finalized, we are going to have a series of public workshops, and those dates are later to be determined. But we just want to let you know that you'll be aware of the impact, hopefully the positive impact of the budget coming out. And if there are some challenging aspects, you'll be aware, and you'll be going down the road with us one step at a time as we try to be as transparent as we can to the public. And that even means, as Mr. Dan was referring to also, the possibility of adjusting some of the Board of Ed meetings, but that's not, that might be addressed later, but we will keep you informed of that as well. Thank you, Mr. Dan.
Thank you.
Sure, and also one thing I wanted to say before anyone else makes a report on, Mr. Vita, thank you for attending that conference on Friday. That was an all-day conference, and the board thanks you for taking a day from your job to go do that and represent Roselle Park Board of Education. So thank you, Mr. Vita. Anyone else for committee reports?
Yes.
Mr. Bellman?
For the School Board Operations Policy Committee, we've been engaged in discussions for the past several months, myself and School Board President Chris Miller, with several vendors that update policy manuals, and we basically analyzed all their services and feel that right now is the time to update our manual in a wholesale fashion. The last time our policy manual was updated was during the 2009-10 school year. New Jersey School Boards, which hosts a lot of support programs for school boards across the state, provide such a fee-based school policy manual update service. For a fee of $6,500 spread over 2 budget years, they will update our entire policy manual in a wholesale fashion and also continue to supply us with timely updates so that we will get all the information at once that's totally updated, and then we'll be able to keep up with all the new events, new policies, new legislation, and put it in our policy manual. Just for a matter of background information, school boards basically is a policy-making body. So it's very critical that policies are up to date, are clear, concise, and understood by all parties. Because a lot of times, disagreements, between parents and teachers, the public and the school district are settled in reference to a policy that's established by the local Board of Education. So I'm asking for support on this time from the board, and also I'll be contacting this gentleman, Mr. Shimenti, for a contract for the board's consideration. So that concludes my report at this time. The only other thing we're investigating at this time is electronic board meetings. And I'm in touch with Kenilworth primarily, who have done this for over the past 2 years, to see how practical it is for us. how cost efficient it is for us, and how the public would benefit in the most maximum manner. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belvin. Thank you, Mr. Belvin. Mr. Lawrence?
Mr. President, the Facilities Committee met on February 10th to speak with the Carrot and Rubino architects. And the reason for this is to, we have to do a long-range facility plan. So we're looking at what we can do in our buildings, if there's anything we can do upgrading to save us money in areas. They presented a couple of things that they would do is they would update our enrollment projections. They would go to every facility and check out every facility to see what cost savings we could have in any buildings. And then a few other studies that they would do requiring, asking us, to do something to save money. The other thing was that I think the big thing is to give a long-range facility plan. We've been asking for this, I guess, for a couple of years now. And just couldn't find anybody. This particular outfit seems to have that capability of it. They have a few areas that they've done it in, so we contacted them to see how well they did for us. So what I'd like to ask the board to do is, in the March meeting, to have this Igora and Rubino architects come in and give us just a kind of a brief overview of what could be done and where they might save us some money, just so the public knows where we're going with this. But I think we have to do something to get the, I guess we used to call it the 5-year plan. Okay, now it's just a long-range facility plan, so we need to get that in place because I don't think we really have one that's updated. So with this here, I'd like to have them come in and give a presentation on it. They seem to be very good, so hopefully they can help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arms, and that is very important because, as you said, when the facilities committee, we're, budget monies aren't always readily available. We need to think not only about next year, but we need to think about the future. What are we going to be doing in the future? How proactive are we going to be? And this is a step in the right direction. So I look forward to that presentation. Thank you, Mr. Arms. Now, boys and girls, I'm a teacher, and sometimes when I'm teaching and it gets a little long, I see the kids are drooping a little bit. I say, it's time for a little exercise. It's time for a little break. And you know what? I really want to, I'm really excited because I want to take a little break now and change up our agenda a little bit. Because I want to see Jacqueline, Cooper, Isabella, Jacob, Connor, and Natalia. I hear you guys have some really special talents that you want to show us. Is that true? Is it true? All right. Well, before we do that, I'm going to get ready. And Mrs. Taylor, if you'd like to come forward, please, and do your principal's report, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Board members, thank you so much. We do have a great presentation tonight. Before I invite the students to come up to the stage, I just wanted to add one other piece that's in the same vein of celebrating the gifts and talents of our students. And that comes in the form of the Winter Student Art Show, which is being held at the NJ Pack in Newark. If you remember, last time we focused on not only the NJ Ask achievements, but also some artwork that students had created. And I just wanted to share that 4 students from the Roselle Park School District are featured in the show. Grace Vita of Sherman, Patrick Haas of Aldine, Nick Stenko from Aldine, and Richard Luna from Aldine are all featured in the art show. So again, it's great to see that students are demonstrating all of their gifts and talents and that we appreciate them for being well-rounded. So the 6 students that you're going to see tonight are a smorgasbord of talents that were presented in our talent show. They showcase a range of acts, but also across the grade levels that we have here in our team. So I do invite you either to turn your chair or maybe to come sit here so that you're able to view the stage. And I'd like to present our very talented Mrs. Green, who is responsible for putting together this program, and also a thank you to Ms. Quaglia, who's not here tonight, who did assist her in putting together the show.
Good evening, board band members, Mrs. Bello, teachers, parents, and students. Thank you so much for coming out. We had such a phenomenal talent show this year, and I firmly believe in both Sherman and Aldine that I'm in charge of them. That is one of the best talent shows I think we've ever had in those schools. They were just phenomenal. But Aldine, of course, did an amazing job, and Mrs. Bello and I got together and we decided which 6 acts. It was a little tough choice, but we did, as Mrs. Bello very rightly said, we kind of went across grade levels, 2nd through 5th grade, and different types of talent, and these 6 were picked out. It does not negate what the others did. They were all fabulous, but we can't have another 2-hour show for you, so we just picked these 6. So without much further ado, okay, Cooper Crawford is our resident comedian in our school. He's probably one of the best comedians I've heard of a child this age. He does a really, really good job, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So I'm going to get the mic up for you.
Nice to meet you. So I just flew in from Maplewood Avenue, and boy, my arm's tired. So I love being in Mrs. Boyd's class. So I love being in Mrs. Boyd's 3rd grade class, except one day Mrs. Boyd yelled at me for something I didn't do. My homework. I told Mrs. Boyd that I ate my homework. She said, Cooper, why did you do that? I said, you said it was a piece of cake. When I finally handed in my homework, she asked me, why is it in your mom's handwriting? I said, because I used her pencil. But seriously, Mrs. Boyd is a great 3rd grade teacher. We have learned so many things from her this year. In math, we learned that 6 is a friend, 7 gets 7, 8, 9. In history, we learned about the only orange president, Sherbert Hoover. In science, we learned that geology rocks. And don't take it for granted. And now, we learned about nutrition and how important breakfast. I like toast for breakfast, but did you know how Darth Vader likes his toast? On the dark side. Lastly, in October, we learned about fire prevention and calling 911. Did you know that this girl said when we call 911, this girl is on fire? And one more, what do I do? What do you call a fish with no eye? Shh.
And let's give our kids one more round of applause. And thank you, parents, for helping them get to this place where they can perform.
Thank you, Ms. Green, for all your hard work. Great job, great talent show. Ms. Bella, you should be very proud of your school children. Congratulations, boys and girls. One more time, let's call up their names. We have some certificates for them. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen, once again for Jacqueline with the Irish dance. Place your shoe up. Terrific. Congratulations, Jacqueline. This picture, President Bella. Thank you, sir. Also, let's hear it for that really good comedian, Cooper. Let's hear it for Cooper. Yes, the lovely song and dance, Isabella. Also, for that flute solo from Natalia. And also, the vocals from Jacob. Yes. Dance moves there too. And finally, that dance light show from Connor. One more time, everyone. Connor. Congratulations, everyone. Great job.
One hand, it's not that.
Well, I'll watch her for a minute.
It's probably Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for supporting the vision that all children are gifted.
This is a fun board meeting. I like that, Ms. Bella. Thank you. I think you raised the bar as well as far as the student performances. Students did a great job. And I also want to, again, thank Mrs. Green for coming out and giving us her time tonight for the children. Oh, anytime. That's all for you. But thank you so much. And we're going to take a brief break so the children can get home and do a little homework and spend some quality time with your parents. So we'll take a brief 2-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Cooper, outstanding.
Watch out.
I know you do, but you know what? Say about you, thank you. Cheers. I don't America's Got Talent. There you go.
Okay, we're going to reconvene. Again, thank you for that wonderful talent display. And now we're on to another display from the superintendent's report. Mr. Burrito. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Miller. Congratulations. I know there's still some of the boys and girls that performed. Excellent job. We really do have some incredible talent in Roselle Park. I do want to report on a couple of items. First of all, the Roselle Park School District was very busy this month celebrating Black History Month throughout the district. There was a plethora of activities and lessons that were exercised throughout the whole district, and that ranged from essay writing to novels to videos to discussions, website research, and we're very proud about diversity and multiculturalism here in Roselle Park. And I asked actually the school principals to send me information about some of the activities and lessons, and I got 6 pages of activities that throughout the district that was being reported. So we're very proud of that. Again, we do embrace the multicultural and the diversity throughout the district. So congratulations to the principals, the staff, and the students for the celebration. Also, the last meeting that we had also reported that actually this week, the State Department was coming in to monitor the district, called the CUSAC monitoring. That has been postponed. I just want to let you know that we do not have a date. I will report to the public and the board as soon as we have a new date for the CUSAC reporting. So that has been changed. I also want to speak a little bit about the park testing. First of all, calendars and letters from the principals will be going out this week, going out as well as they will be posted on each individual building website. So that will be happening this week. Participation, the calendar for the park is as follows. The elementary testing will begin next Monday, March 2nd, and will go to Friday, March 13th. The middle school testing will begin March 9th, and then they will go into March 27th. The high school testing will be March 17th through the 19th. What the principals will do is they will put a little bit more detail, a specific calendar up on the website so the parents are aware of time and specific dates for the park testing. The final item that I want to report on is on the opting out of the park. First of all, the state of New Jersey does not recognize opting out of park. We, as an entity of the New Jersey Department of Education, are obligated by law to follow their directives. Therefore, a letter was sent out by the district, actually I believe it was yesterday, it's also posted on the website, with language that came directly from the Department of Education. Whether I agree with the park test or not, one way or the other, we need, the state requires every district to test the students. Statewide assessment is the same as districts having a curriculum or districts having certain programs. If we do not have it, we will lose funding from the State Department and from the Federal Department of Education. So we must abide by their laws, and by their directors. Having said that, I have received a few, not many, a few requests in writing from parents that they would like their child not to take the test. What the Department of Education tells us to do is we cannot recognize the opt-in out. The only way for students not to take the test is to refuse the test, which in the language from the manual for testing, which was the same as the NJS, that means that if a student refuses to take the test, they will be considered disruptive. Now, it's not a word that we would like to use because we understand that the child is not making this decision in some cases. It is the parents. So we wanted to make sure that we did not put the children of the students in any way that they felt ashamed of refusing because of the parents' wishes. So we put together a set of procedures for the children that may be refusing to take the test or having the parents write a letter to opt out. And these are: when a parent or guardian informs in writing that their child will not participate in testing, the student will enter the room and sit for further instruction from the proctor. Every classroom that is being tested has a proctor. So the student would not need to further refuse to take the test. The letter would suffice. They do not have to say, I am refusing, I do not want to take the test. The principal, the proctor, we already know the children that receive letters or the information in writing. The testing proctor will follow the procedures from the manual at that point, and they are. The child will be asked or escorted to an alternative location, whether it's the auditorium, another room with a certified staff, and an alternative assignment will be given. Or they will be allowed to read books of their choice if they bring books to read. Then, according to the procedures for testing, an irregularity report has to be filed with the state. That we do not have a choice. The law is what the Department of Education requires us to do. Okay? Now, the school, if a child comes in, or a student comes in, without a letter from the parent or guardian, the school will notify the parent or the guardian of any student refuses to participate in the testing if prior notification is not received. We will have someone call the home or the parents to let them know that the child is refusing. The parent will be asked to please send a note in or something in writing, okay, for that child to refuse the test. And the same procedures will be followed if the parents consent to the student not taking the test. So the child will be removed discreetly. I would never permit any child to be disrespected, feel ashamed, or not feel, valued. So the same procedure will be followed for those students. Now, if we cannot make contact with the parent and the student is refusing to take the test, we cannot force a student to take a test. That student will be removed. They will then be given an opportunity to be seated for the makeup testing. If we receive a letter in writing, from the parent that they do not want the child to take the test, then once again, they'll be removed from the makeup testing and will be returned back to class for their normal activities. So those are the procedures. Again, we cannot, recognize the opt-in out. And that was the reason for the letter. And the state is very serious when they say that if we do not meet 95% participation rate for the assessment, the district will lose state aid. Which means to us, we depend on approximately $10 million in state aid. If that should happen, okay, we will lose programs, we will lose teachers, we will lose many, many things that the children need now to continue making progress. Now, just again, and this is something that, I've been in education for a long time, and, we've seen statewide testing since the 1970s. I've seen the NJS testing come into play back in 2001. Okay, there was anxiety at that moment, almost the same as it is today with the PARC. The test evolved. I, for one, had my reservations about the NJS and the No Child Left Behind rule, because it was flawed in some ways. We know that. It was unrealistic. Because it made everyone, all students, meet the same criteria. The proficiency level at 200, whether, whatever case the student was, whether the student was an English language learner, special education student, what have you. This test, the change with this test is, number one, they're going to be taken on a computer. That's the difference. Okay, it's new. We're shifting into more of a technology-based type of era. Number two, it's going to be aligned to the Common Core standards. Yes, these are the highest standards we ever have had before. Do we recognize that high standards are good for the students? Absolutely. Now, looking at it, and I really, truly, and I have to tell you, I've done my research with the PARC. Yes, it takes too much time, and I agree with that. It requires too much testing. However, I truly believe that this is the first year, and it was just voted by the Assembly that it would not count for 3 years for placement reasons. For example, to move students to a gifted and talented program for graduation purposes. It is not going to count towards teacher evaluation for 3 years. I believe that is going to evolve to a test that is going to be meaningful, and the results that we get is going to help the district with designing a better curriculum, is going to help improve teaching and learning, and it's going to help us with the results that we get to see where truly meaningful, okay, where the gaps are for the students. Because we're going to get a report that is not going to say, your child did not meet proficiency, they did not meet a 200. We're going to get reports that are going to indicate student individual growth, or individual student growth. And that is going to be very, very meaningful to the educators. So, you as parents know what's best for your child, and I respect that. I really would like parents to reconsider not having the child take the test. Again, in my heart, I don't think the test is going to be harmful. Okay? Maybe we do not believe that the whole entire Common Core and the test may be taking too much time away from instruction. That's something that we need to address with the state and make sure that, it's corrected. But again, I really feel that down the line, we're going to improve teaching and learning based on the Common Core and the PARC assessment. But I wanted to make it clear, and I will put a letter up on the website tomorrow with these new procedures and the protocol. We want to make sure you do understand that the language used in the letter comes directly from the State Department and from the manuals and the procedures used in the testing. Okay? Can only, allow students not to take the test when it's refused. Okay, when it's refused. New Jersey is not an opt-out state. So I wanted to clarify that. I know that there's some anxiety surrounding the test. We will get through this. We will be sitting here next year, And hopefully, we'll be saying, you know what, let's give it a chance. And I think that's what a lot of educators said. You know, I put a lot of resources up on the website. I hope parents are taking taking the opportunity to read it. There's a lot of information there in those resources that will really help you make some good, decisions for your children. Please read it, because many different groups are in support, or at least telling us to give the test a chance. So I just wanted to make it clear once again that we do have a procedure in place to make sure that the children, if the parents write a letter, that they do not in any way, are admonished. They do not feel bad about doing that, because that's not what we're here for. So I wanted to make sure we're clear on that. Okay? Thank you, and again, to the parents, we do have multiple measures, and the part, the same as the NJS, it's just one measure. We don't use that to make decisions about everything. We know the value of being in the classroom and the instruction from the teacher. We know the value of teacher-made tests. We know the value of benchmark assessments. We know the value of students' responses. So we take all that and we call it multiple measures to make good, sound, meaningful decision for your children. So again, I know some parents were upset, concerned about the letter. It's the state of New Jersey that has obligated us to make sure that the students and we participate in the statewide assessment. Okay, so thank you for listening. I know that once again we'll get through this, and we're a district here that really puts children first. Okay, whether it is by by doing performance-based assessment or taking the NJS code apart, we will always put children first. And that is something that, I want to make sure that everyone understands. Thank you.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, Mr. Bob.
I don't know if you know, but
Maybe not.
you're saying if we don't achieve a 95% testing threshold,
Yes.
state aid could be withheld. Is the state fully funding the PART test for our district? Are they fully funding it?
Yeah, we don't have to pay anything for the part test. It's a state funding.
It's fully funded.
State funding.
Okay.
Except for the technology that we had to implement.
Yeah, the technology, you do not.
We make the investment for the
Yeah.
part test.
Right, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Garrido. And thank you for being open and clear and putting up those resources on the website for parents and the community to access. Now I'd like to go into policy, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 1 through 2.
So moved.
1 being district policy, first reading. 2nd being district policy, first reading. Mr. Galvin, first, the second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Dam. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Balaban?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Bruckenstein? Mr. Dam?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Vita?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on to personnel, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 3 through 9. 3 being district substitutes, 4 being staff retirement, 5 being staff resignation, 6 being leave of absence request, 7 being maternity leave of absence extension, 8 being 2014 summer camp co-directors, 9 being Title I after-school program appointment.
Make that motion.
Mr. Burton, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Harms. Any questions or comments?
I'd like to extend congratulations and best wishes to Mrs. Christensen on her retirement. I believe she's been in the district for 29 years, nearly 30 years. We appreciate your service and wish you all the best in the future retirement.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. Any other questions or comments? Just want to echo Mr. Burton's sentiments for Mrs. Christensen. Mrs. Christensen has been a very wonderful teacher and also administrator in our district. And she's one of the primary reasons I am still residing in Roselle Park with my wife and 2 children, because we toured I've told this story many times, but we've toured the Sherman School and with Mrs. Deegan as well, helping out, and we were just so impressed with all the programs that were available there, and just the cleanliness of the building, like here at Aldine, just facilities, we were very impressed. Mrs. Christensen, she's just amazing. Every day she's at that door greeting students with a cheerful smile, whether it's raining, snowing, or she has a million other things to do, which I'm sure she does, but she's always was focused on the children, and that was the lens that she looked through her profession at, and she was just wonderful dedication and a great role model. And I know the staff, students, and parents love her, and we're going to miss her, so thank you, Mrs. Christensen. With that said, roll call please, Madam Secretary.
Vice President Harms?
Yes.
Mr. Balaban?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Breckenstein? Mr. Dan?
Yes.
Mr. Gerton?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Vita?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes.
On roll call, motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now we're on to education, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 10 through 12, 10 being education programs, 11 being educational trip requests, and 12 being the harassment, intimidation, bullying incidents.
I'll make a motion, Mr. President.
Mr. Nelson, thank you. Second? Second, Mr. Burton. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Those items are passed. And next we'll continue with business, where I'd like someone to make a motion to approve agenda items 13 through 18, 13 being monthly certification, 14 being monthly transfers, 15 being Secretary Treasury Report, 16 being use of buildings and grounds, 17 being approval of bills, and 18 being NCLB FY15 amendment application. Any questions, or do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Arms, second.
I'll do it.
Mr. Dan, any questions or comments?
President, I'd like to recuse myself from the 17.
So noted, Mr. Nelson. Any other questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Those items are passed. And now we're on to continuing business. Mr. Greedo.
Mr. Miller, during the month of February, 1 student was identified as not residing in Roselle Park and therefore removed from the school, which brings the total to 3 students for this school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greedo. We're on to new business. Does anyone have new business to speak on?
I just wanted to thank our buildings and grounds crew for really facing this winter's wrath and really clearing the pathways for the public and the students and the teachers and everybody around our buildings. They did a tremendous job this year.
Thank you, Mr. Valvan. Yes, we do appreciate the custodians and Mrs. Padavano's work. Anyone else? And now we're on to the second public participation portion of the evening. If you would like to speak about anything, please come forward, give your name, address, and what you'd like to speak about.
Good evening.
Jake, can you speak to the mic?
Yes, you might not be on.
sorry, I don't understand the question. Are there any closed session items that were resolved?
Yes.
There was no action taken during closed session, and
Has there ever been a matter that's been resolved and not reported?
the matters are not reported in the closed session. They're discussed in closed session because they're confidential under the Open Public Meetings Act law. When they're resolved, they get posted in the closed session minutes, but that's not something that happens during the meeting.
Are closed session minutes available for the general public?
They are if the matter becomes resolved to the point that it is no longer confidential, and then it gets reported with regular session minutes, but it would be case-specific based upon the matter that was discussed.
Are they available redacted?
Potentially under an Oprah request. It depends on if they exist, because the matter has to be resolved in the sense that they've now been recorded as closed session minutes. It's a fact-specific question, so I need a specific example.
People have been commenting on that electric signboard that we paid $16,000 for in front of the high school.
Has it been positive,
Excuse me?
Has it been positive comments?
No.
Yes. I'd like to have names, Jake, if you could give me some. I'd like to know what's bad about it.
Roselle Park Forum.
I don't go on that because it's...
No. If you ask me for names, I will not give a name, but there are names. There are names.
Okay.
And the people...
But these are the same people that were complaining about no matter what we did in town for our children, that would help them out for anything. But I'd like to know, I've heard many, people in town that come up to you and actually tell you face to face that they think it's very good. The students I've heard say, hey, this is great. We're working on doing a lot of information to be put on there about what our schools do with our robotics programs, our and technical things that we're coming up with. These are things that we're doing. So on the form is one way, but I'm hearing the positive from people that actually come up and tell you, and you can go face to face with them.
Well, I have a couple of people who complain from the train station. They can't see it from the train station on the train.
Well, tell them come on, walk down that way. They can see it.
They're on the train, and the train is passing by.
And thank you, Mr. Armstrong. And Mr. Madero, were there any specific comments that you'd like to share?
Yeah, it costs too much money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And absolutely, and improvements and advancements do cost money, but how much did it really cost? That was 26,000. 26.
Yeah,
26,000.
more than what you said.
I said 16.
Yeah, it's 26.
I like that.
Oh.
But Mr. Majera, we refurbished the auditorium, and as a district and going forward, there are some cosmetics and also, well, not just cosmetics, but also communications that we want to improve as a district, and that was one of the things we pinpointed and we're discussing, because it's very, very important, because we went from a sign that was there, when was that put up? 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I mean, where you have people coming out with block letters, and that's nice, but look at all the labor that we're saving, where people don't have to go out there, and the amount of information that can be on that screen that can be refreshed, that will be shown to the public, not just about the high school, but about the other elementaries, middle, and possibly also the community as well, I mean, municipality, is going to be twofold. I mean, it's going to really, that's going to be that's a savings in labor in itself, and just getting that message out. Because going forward as a high school, going forward as a district, there are some facility improvements that we have to make. And yes, I mean, yeah, money is tight, but we also, and it was a tough decision, but we felt that to go forward and to communicate and to really continue to bridge our communication from the education and one of the things that our students and teachers and administration are doing to the community, that was one vehicle that we felt investing in was worth it.
You feel that's worth it? Other people say it's not worth it. So it's a matter of opinion.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We can share our opinions and,
Thank you.
I would just be interested to know, I just would be interested to know what you would ask that we do in response to some of these complaints. So the negative complaints, what would you suggest the board do after the fact?
take a poll.
What purpose would that serve? I'm just curious. What purpose would that serve?
Give the general public an idea. It hasn't been publicized too well that it was going to cost, I said 16,000, 26,000.
Well, actually, everything's big, we have to take a poll on, and then why do we sit up here?
Yeah, and Mr. Ross,
Jake, we actually talked about it at a few board meetings, and there was not, it was not formal voting, I don't believe, but there was a lot of debate and banter back and forth and discussions. It shouldn't be a surprise, and it's unfortunate if it is a surprise to the community, because it was openly debated, and it's been something that members of the board have brought forward for a couple of years now. There was discussions on the location, discussions of whether it was worthy to even spend that money on, and what the alternatives to spending that money would be on. So it just so, you know, whether we agree with the board being there or not, my point for speaking up here is we did talk about it, and if you're suggesting that we need to talk about it more, we should consider that as a board, but there was quite a bit of discussion back and forth with public input on the potential for putting that board up and when it was going to go up. Specifically, I remember some questions around the electricity and whether or not we could render the old electricity and the new electricity.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Anything else, Mr. Majero?
Yes. Way too much. The mountain of snow that was in front of the ticket booth on Colfax, West Colfax, at the football field, is gone. But it was up there for about a week and a half, and it was very, very dangerous.
Correct, and that was from the Colfax Manor that pushed it across over there.
Then you should find them.
Yeah, called Manor.
And it is removed, and Jake, you're right, I almost hit that too one night.
Why wouldn't you call it?
But when you addressed the council and mayor and council last week, you didn't mention it, that you almost did.
Oh, I didn't hit it.
You did.
But Jake, I will hone my skills in this meeting. What else do you have, Jake?
Okay. Chris.
Yes.
Should the governor cut or reduce the school budget? Will teachers and administrators have to take a pay cut or layoffs?
That's hypothetical, and hopefully we never have to cross that bridge.
If we lose state aid, means that our taxes go up.
Jake, excuse me.
Yeah. And, Mr. Dan, before you start, Jake, like I said, that is hypothetical, and as I said earlier, as the budget process and as we get these numbers, and we process it and we work together as a board and as a community, you will be apprised of it through budget workshops that I'm sure you'll be invited to.
I watched the governor speak this afternoon at 3 o'clock.
I'm sorry.
And he was very firm,
yes,
of cutting back aid.
Yes, Jake, but I just want to say at this time, we do not have that answer. What's perceived or not, we do not have a final answer. As I said earlier in the meeting, I don't know if you heard it, that we did have a finance meeting, and we're actually waiting on the numbers. And unfortunately, the county's not going to give us a lot of time, so we're going to be running around like crazy after we find out the final numbers. But at this time, we cannot speculate on something like that. It would just be wrong. Hopefully, we get the same funding, would be the best case scenario. Thank you.
No, thank you. I thank you for the input. It's a little lively conversation.
Thank you, Ms. Majera.
Eugene Viola, 226 Charlie Avenue. This is a very nice way to have a meeting. I prefer this over the town hall. And the performance. Can't be that.
Kids are great.
I just have one question, well, maybe more than, maybe two or three. When you remove a student because you confirm that they're not, is it, how do I say this?
Do we get reimbursed for that?
No, do you, well, that's another subject.
Well,
Do you get,
many times.
do you have to find out
We have to see that they go to another
if
district.
it's multiple years? Like, could they graduate from Roselle Park High School and never been found out? Is there a way of finding out, hey, look, all of these three kids, they all came from Aldine School, or they all came from Sherman or Roselle Park High School? Is there a list to find that out, or is that secret?
No, you know.
Need to know.
Yeah, no, it's very difficult to find out if a student, if we get a tip from a citizen, or then we start an investigation. Sometimes we don't find out.
Have an actual person that looks at.
Well, no, we do. Now, you have to remember, we have the, what do we call it?
Residence,
No, when we re-sign, you know, we have to have show identification. Registration. We have registration. We have it every 3 years, or 5 years? Every 5 years. So every 5 years, we make everybody in the district, whoever attends our school, come in and show us so many, like your driver's
Yeah, I
license.
know.
Okay, all right. So when
Mortgage payment would be good.
Well, you don't have to have mortgage payment, you have a rent
Taxes,
payment.
that's fine.
We have criteria that has it. And what happens is that, at that time, we find some people that don't, but they're not registered in here, so we don't put it down here because they're not doing a year. But, as Mr. Rito has said, if somebody says, I noticed that something's happening over here, they're coming, that's how we have it. We do have somebody who does investigate for us, okay, but we have to know about it. We just don't pick somebody out because we can't do that, and just say, hey, look, we're gonna go out there and check out, Harm's family just because whatever. We don't have that now.
But being that, you find three and you're not even looking for them, they just happen to fall in your lap. Maybe if 5 years is maybe it should be.
It costs the district a lot of money when we do it. But just let me go back just a little. Let me go back just a couple of years back again. It was 19. If you go back and check, so we're down to 3 since September.
Right.
Okay, when we used to be at 19.
Okay.
Okay, so we're doing a pretty good job of keeping them out by doing a re-registration. So we're only having 3. So if we go back and if I remember 1 year, it was like 22. So I think we're doing a pretty good job.
There's like this gentleman, Mr. Dan Renfro.
Yeah.
This is my first meeting, so I'm just. There is no procedure to recoup anything, right? It's like catch me if you can. If you don't, I got away with it. And the blow with the boot. So what is the procedure? Is this?
There is a procedure to recoup monies for lost tuition, and the district has the ability to do that through a petition with the Commissioner of Education.
And this has been done.
Yes, the situation though is that it costs the district a lot of money to pursue that action in the first place. So sometimes you have to balance how much tuition you're looking at versus the cost of the procedure to recoup it.
It's the point. It's not, sometimes it's the point of
You're not always guaranteed to collect on your judgment either,
Of course, but it costs us a lot of money to do that. So I'm not blaming you. You got to see what it costs. If they're only going to get $1,000 back, and it's going to cost me $3,000 to collect that $1,000.
But it's like a student loan, it never goes away. you can
Yeah,
go
those
back
waivers,
and see
they go away.
student
Yeah,
loans
students.
don't ever go away. Government student loans.
It would attach to the parents because in most cases the students are minors, but it would still exist as a debt, yes.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you.
I never said congratulations on this past election.
Thank you. Thank you
I
so
was
much.
trying to find you, but you're never in mulligans or anything, so.
Thank you.
Saul Cruz, 115 Berwyn Street. Just for protocol. Did Mr. Bruckenstein provide
Yes.
notice?
Yes, he did.
Mr. Balaban was speaking about electronic board meetings. Was
Paperless.
Paperless, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
I should have elaborated.
I thought you guys were going to do that.
Paperless board meetings.
Superman with like everybody on the screen.
Or go to meeting.
Okay.
I got my leg up here.
Not to belabor it any longer than it needs to be, but I was doing other things, so my apologies for not catching it. If a parent has their children removed, they don't come into school, that's counted as an absence?
Yes.
Okay, just.
We have to follow the attendance policy as it is.
And I'm sorry, Mr. Nickel, which number did you abstain on?
Yeah. Bills, approval of bills?
17.
Number 7.
Not that you have to, but any reason? And with regard to the closed sessions to the attorney, Ms. Osborne, I just want to make sure I didn't hear it incorrectly. You said, and once the matter is resolved, it's resolved within closed session. That's what I want to make sure.
Sure, no. So we go into closed session because the topic that's being discussed is considered confidential under the law. Mr. Majeura's question was about how do we find out about the information that was discussed in closed session beyond what's reported on the agenda. Sometimes you may never find out about it because the matter may always remain confidential. Example, student matter. The public's never going to be privy to that information. So the notes with respect to those closed session meetings get reported as such when they become public, when the matter is resolved. So it's fact specific based upon what's being discussed.
That's right, because I believe, not speaking for Mr. McGarrett, but having talked with him and being his friend, I believe that's what he was asking. He was asking, are there any times that a matter is resolved that's not mentioned in public, that it's resolved? In other words, there'd be a list of 46 items that never remain.
Yes, because the minutes is what resolves that, and the posting of those minutes is how you determine if it's been resolved, and that's done on the district's website.
There's no explicit, this resolves closed session.
No.
Although, as I stated, it would actually be helpful, not only for the public, but also for board members 5 years down the line. A new board member comes in and wants to know how a matter was resolved. And there is no reference other than looking and saying,
Right, but didn't we, at one meeting, we brought up that the reason why we have, and what would identify would be February 19th?
yes.
Okay, and we
And
do
the
it,
numbers.
and the
The
numbers.
numbers.
Took your
3.
suggestion.
That's why
Thank
we,
you.
that's why we
see the
did it.
numbers.
Thank you.
If you remember, we weren't numbering it before, now we number it 1, 2, 3, and the president also said we added the number 3 to the agenda tonight. That's how we.
Right, because I think when you said that there was no way, okay, but thank you. I'm glad that actually has been taken into it. And then with, the principal. Will the same protocol follow as with the previous principal interviews? Will there be a committee formed? The time frame, I presume Ms. Christensen will be retiring at the end of the school year.
Yes, there will be a committee and we'll follow the same protocol that we follow with the other interview.
Because I found that very informative. Like there was one point where it was basically scrapped. Remember, it was like the candidates came in, we had to do it from scratch again. I think it's very informative because it gives information. However, legally constrained it has to be. Thank you very much. A Columbo moment. One more thing. Actually, there is also another way to recoup money, and that's through the municipality, the council. There's actually a law in the books that states if a landlord is found to have housed any students that have gone to the schools illegally, the municipality can follow up and fine the landlord. So I don't know if you want to talk with the school board too, because that would alleviate costs, because then you just immediately go after the landlord and then collect whatever fee that is and then present it to the school.
So the code enforcement officer?
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Seeing there's no one else for public participation, we are going to close the second public participation portion of the evening. And now I'd like someone to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
Mr. Vita, second. Mr. Dan? Aye. And all in favor? Aye. Opposed? This meeting is adjourned, and our next scheduled board meeting will be March 10th at the Sherman School Gymnasium at 7 p.m. See you there.
Maybe not.